Did you know aliens have fingerprints just like ours? And in 1984, we recorded our very first fingerprints taken off a real alien cadaver. Now, that's according to Richard Doty. Who's Richard Doty? Some of you may already know. For those of you that don't, we'll be covering who he is after we watch this first clip. Let's jump in. Hi, I'm Patrick. This is Vetted. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Really helps us out a lot. Please comment down below what you think of Richard Doty's comments, and if you know who Richard Doty is, what do you think of him? If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, y'all. We put out a new video every day, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, every day. Let's go. All right, here's the clip, and then we'll jump into who this guy is exactly.
Briefing. During this operation, we found fingerprints, but they weren't like our fingerprints. They were very strange looking prints. Now, if remember when I told you about one of the creatures had two hands on one arm, one appendage, it appeared that something like that had gotten in there. Somehow it got in it, and nobody could figure it out because it's a very secure area. You can figure it. Nuclear weapon storage is very secure. But they had fingerprints. So now we have fingerprints, and that was the first time that we, as a government, actually got extraterrestrial fingerprints.
Do you remember what year that was?
That was in 84. It was 1984. Yeah, it was winter times. I don't remember if it was late winter or early winter because it was snow on the ground. Of course, upstate New York, it's pretty bad. But I thought that was fascinating. But we never could figure out anything other than that it got in, and it took fingerprints. Now, there were many cases of UFOs spotted around nuclear weapons facility, launch control facilities.
So, okay, there's the clip. Now, let's break this down just for a second here. So, right here, you see Richard Doty, okay, right here. He is being interviewed by Dr. Stephen Greer. I'm going to put a link to this full video. It's a long interview, just straight up Richard Doty, probably the best thing that's out there about him. And it's quite fascinating. He says a number of things, okay? Too many. I could make 10 videos on this one video. So let's break down who this guy is. I'm going to show you a movie trailer about a documentary that came out in 2014. Okay, it's called Mirage Men, and it's about Richard Doty. So let's find out who this guy really is.
At the core, there is something that they want to keep people away from, a real truth.
Back in the early 80s, it was my job to confuse the UFO community. And it was very easy to convince Paul. Paul was a World War II veteran. He's very patriotic. He always flew his flag. Those type of people you can convince that, listen, you can't tell anybody else about this because this, it could get in the wrong hands.
Would we use perception to help shroud what we're trying to protect? Absolutely. If you've got an aerial platform that is highly advanced and the public who happens to get a glimpse of the thing, if they're convinced that it's from Venus and there's no way it could be our military, well, hey, that's awesome. Hell yes.
It's been a cover story in the U.S. for a long time. Tell the media, tell anybody who will listen, that they're using UFOs to cover up advanced technology, when the truth is exactly the opposite of the words.
We're really a byproduct of extraterrestrial intervention.
What if we're their farm animals? What if they eat us psychically? I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities here that are not good.
Doty had this wonderful way to sell it. I'm with the government. You cooperate with us, and I'm going to tell you what the government really knows about UFOs deep down in those vaults. I'm going to tell you all kinds of lies.
whatever's going on, it's happening at a government level. Everything that I do is being watched. And I have to assume that I'm being bugged.
Let's take one step at a time. You're looking at Richard Doty, the professional disinformer, trained to lie.
So I'll put a link down in the description of all the videos and everything I'm going to show today. Okay, y'all. So there you go. I got some other clips we're going to watch too, so stay tuned. But yeah, that's Richard Doty, right? So he, real quick, he worked for the Air Force Special Investigations Office. He claims to have been briefed, okay, on a special, UFO program. And that he was then enlisted to help create disinformation, to help cover up. So, twofold. He is saying that UFOs and aliens and all this are real and the government has them, and he goes into great detail about that. But he also readily admits to having produced fake documents, fake conversations, that he's duped people in the UFO community, UFO researchers, on purpose to keep them from getting closer to the truth, right? He's readily admitted that. And it's crazy. It's the strangest whistleblower, right? He's an interesting person, right? Because on one hand, you have him deceiving the UFO community, and then on the other, you have him saying to the UFO community, listen to me, I have information as well. Dude, who's going to believe this guy, right? How, you admit to lying to these people, right? Deceiving them. And as he puts it, it's just his job, right? He wasn't doing anything that on his own. The government asked him to do this, and that there are more people that do this. Basically, that there are agencies and offices within the government who their sole purpose is to create disinformation. Right, to protect our own military assets, our own advanced technology that we're working on. Agents will, obfuscate, diffuse the situation by convincing people it's something else. Right? If someone thinks it's a UFO, yeah, exactly. It's a UFO, man. It's not our stuff. It's a UFO. Right? That's the idea. So when you look around the UFO community, and you think of all the information that comes out and all these private sources, anonymous sources, right? What percentage of those anonymous sources are complete BS, like Richard Doty, who's just feeding information? Because they are. So if you're a UFO researcher or content creator like myself who gets sources, because remember, I don't do that. I don't want sources. Don't talk to me. Don't give me information. I don't want any of that stuff. Don't try to trick me. Don't give me nothing. Right, that's the vetted. We go vet other people's information, but don't give it to us. So I just don't trust any of it. Right, so I don't play that game, but people do. Right, and they're constantly on Twitter and in videos releasing all this new information from their anonymous sources. My source says, my source within the government, my military source. Right, so you think, what percentage of those are BS, right? Feeding those people BS. Because I can tell you right now that UFO researchers and, again, content creators are biting at the chance to reveal new information. Bombshell news, right? They're dying to do that. Guarantee you. So there are, in a way, they are more likely to believe some nonsense you give them because they're just dying to, that's got to be it. And this is a source. This is anonymous. This is within the government. He sounds legit, So that's why I wouldn't take any of it. I think, honestly, our best bet would be for like a full year for everyone in the UFO community who has quote unquote sources to say to their sources, stop. Let's hold off a year. Don't get any more information. Let's see what actually trickles out. Because it's gotten just too big. The haystack's gotten too big. This needle is almost getting impossible to find. because of people like this guy, Richard Doty. So let's watch this. There was a show that came out, I believe a couple summers ago on Showtime called UFO. And in that show, they featured Richard Doty. So let's watch a couple clips from that show. I've also got a podcast I'm going to share a link to. I'm not going to show a clip to it, but I'm going to share an interview that he did with the Disclosure team. It's quite fascinating, so it's well worth a watch. There's actually not a lot of interviews out there with Rick Doty or Richard Doty. Not as many as you would think. Let's put it that way. All right, let's watch this clip here.
In 1947, two craft crashed into Mexico. They collided, and one crashed near Corona, New Mexico, which is public record. The second craft crashed way out west of Magdalena, New Mexico, and that wasn't found until 2 years later. But the one that crashed in Corona, they also found a live alien. That live alien was named Eva, and he was transported to, it was a male, was transported to Los Alamos, where he lived out his life. He died in 1952. But during that time period that he was with us, he told us a plethora of information about what they have learned about the universe and what their technology is. Their technology is probably estimated to be about 50,000 years ahead of us.
So there's a statement he made, right? Died in 1952. It was alive when they had it. Did they get that alien's fingerprints? Why didn't they do that? All right, here's another clip.
He photographed UFOs. He actually photographed a UFO over Dulce, New Mexico.
But how can I have faith in what you're telling me if I know that you lied to Paul Benowitz?
I didn't lie to Paul Benowitz.
Paul Benowitz is a key feature of Richard Doty's story. So if you want to do a deep dive and a rabbit hole dive on Richard Doty and his story, right? Okay, I'll links in the description and you can do the deep dive. If you watch the Mirage Man documentary, you'll get the story there. And Paul Benowitz, real quick, 30 seconds here. He was basically a business owner who lived next to an Air Force base, the one that Richard Doty worked at. He filmed some stuff, some tests. Turned out it was our own advanced military he was filming. They sent Richard Doty in to talk to this Paul Benowitz and basically convince him that it was UFOs he saw, not our own advanced tech. And Paul Benowitz, he ended up in an insane asylum. Richard Doty fed him a lot of UFO information, alien stuff. He fed a lot of people different stuff. A lot of UFO researchers that he fed them stuff. And he has said in interviews that fake information that he gave out, he still sees it floating around the UFO community. So take that as you will. But again, how do we believe him?
A job to do. I wasn't a maverick. I just didn't go out and do this on my own. My supervisors.
See, he's like, I wasn't a maverick. I didn't just go do this out on my own. That doesn't take away from the fact that you lied. I'm just saying, you deceived.
Told me, listen, we don't want him to go out to the public, go on camera and say, hey, I just tapped into a secret laser on Kirtland Air Force Base. Obviously, we can't have that happen. So all I had to do was say, well, you know what, Paul? Maybe what you did see was UFOs.
See how easy that is?
Look, we've established in history and documents through the Freedom of Information Act, the CIA and the military.
There's your boy, John Greenwald Jr.
complex as a whole has really aimed to essentially mislead the public when it comes to UFOs. Tell them something that necessarily is not the truth. We've seen it time and time again through the decades, over and over and over.
It's just interesting, that guy. All right, I have one last clip. It's actually from this interview. Now, listen to what he says here, because it's quite fascinating. We're going to end on this here.
And they're just relying on second, third, and fourth-hand information to write a book and then basically poison their readers and the rest of the UFO community. And so the July craft actually it crashed in the end of June. The recovery project was into July because it was at the end of June, and people just didn't get it right, and the UFO community didn't get it right. Now there's some people out there that have tried to present the facts, but they've been ridiculed, and so their information is not being believed. But just like the Horse Mesa crash in '49, very few people have that factual. They think it was an entirely different craft. The craft was exactly the same as the Corona craft, exactly the same. And the damages that they showed in this movie, they showed sketches of the crafts together at some location, and it appeared, if anybody with a logical mind can see, that these crafts crashed together. Why they crashed, I believe the Eben, they called this particular entity that lived in Eben. He probably explained, but I was never briefed into exactly how he explained that the two crafts crashed. I know it was a lightning storm. It was a storm in that time period when it was when they crashed. But the two crashes have been separated by some people and then discounted by others within the UFO community. And that's what is so disgusting and troubling within the UFO community. That's why I have nothing to do with them anymore. I've tried. I've went to UFO conventions and tried to explain what the truth is, and nobody wants to hear you because they've written a book that says it happened this way, and they're not going to listen to you, even though they really don't know the truth.
Right. Don't bother me with the facts my mind has made up.
Exactly.
I know I run into it all the time.
Yeah.
So did the craft, can you describe the
So, that's interesting, right? Well, I wonder why, Richard Doty. You literally admitted to going in and lying to UFO researchers. And now you're curious as to why they don't accept you at the UFO conventions with open arms? I mean, that makes zero sense in my mind. That does not compute, y'all. So, look, take what you want with this guy. Y'all decide. Tell me what you think in the comments. What do you think of this guy? Do you think what he's saying is truthful? Again, I'll put links to all of this down in the description so you can find out more, do a deeper dive. Tell me what you think of Richard Doty, his comments. Alien Fingerprints, just that on its own. I'd never heard that before, so I'm curious about that. It's fascinating to me. Is that possible? Would that be possible? I mean, it's not outside of the norm, right? That sounds fair enough. So anyway, that's today's video. Thank y'all so much for watching. I do want to say yesterday's video I put out, and many videos that I put out, y'all always respond with wonderful comments, things I don't think of, that sort of thing. So thank y'all very much. I appreciate all the comments, and I hope it's a nice space in the comments, not just to inform me of what's going on, but to inform each other, talk amongst each other, have discussions. That's what I like to see. Everyone trying to learn from each other. Be nice, be respectful, okay? You're more likely to get heard. I mean, I saw some comments like, Patrick, you're dumb, blah, 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 blah. I stopped reading after that, y'all. Just FYI. If you want to leave me a comment and you put, you're dumb, I'm going to stop reading after that. I'm just saying. Now, granted, there was only a couple of those. 99% of the comments are wonderful, to be fair. So, again, thank y'all so much for all the feedback and commenting. So I can't wait to read these comments about Richard Doty, his claims, fingerprints, yowzers. All right. We'll see you on the next video. Remember, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. We're trying to get to 3,000 before the end of the year. Thank y'all again for all the support. We'll see you on the next video. I'm Patrick with Vetted. Remember, every day is a gift, y'all. We'll see you next time. Peace.